Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Today, we're going to talk about the game last night where LeBron had 7 turnovers and the fact that LeBron got beat 9 times in a row now by a plumber. By a plumber. Wow. Which one do we want to talk about first, right? Because I got a funny story about, well, it's not a story. It's not funny. It's the reality of, these play-by-play guys. They contradict everything they say, and at the end, what they say about LeBron James, it just backfires in their face. That's what's so funny about it. And they won't even go back and try to fix what they said after LeBron makes them look like a fool. Why not? Why don't you wait until the game is like halfway, third quarter, fourth quarter, before you start saying certain things that's going to backfire in your face? So I guess we should talk about that first, right? So I'm over here watching this Miami game, and they're getting beat up by the Celtics. Who knows what's going to happen? You don't know in this three-point era. These guys turn the ball over like crazy. I saw that last night. Well, yesterday in all these playoff games, these guys were just throwing the ball right to the opponent that was right in front of them. I'm not talking about a hard pass across the court, something like that. Maybe they did sometimes, but for the most part, they were throwing the ball right to the opponent, right in front of them. I could not. I was like, what? These guys were missing all kind of layups all day. It was just like, and then when these guys couldn't hit a 3-point shot, well, the games before the Lakers and the Nuggets, they're pretty horrible because when these guys couldn't knock down a 3, wow, it was like, what? You have no other skills? No pick and roll to the basket, no mid-range, missing layups. It just became like real bad when they couldn't hit that 3. So, and that's what happens when the game is so one-dimensional. I can't watch this Miami Celtics game, and it's hard for me to watch the Miami Heat because they're all about what today's game is. And that's all they do is shoot 3-pointers. If they can't do nothing else, they seem to be trash. And their players look like some guys that they just picked up off of Miami Beach. I'm not trying to be funny. They look like some guys that they just picked up off of Miami Beach. They don't look like real basketball players. Okay, and this is what this league accepts. Non-positional players. Guys that could just shoot the 3. That's it. That's what the LeBron fans today, they call basketball. We talked about that in the past. I could dig into that for like 20 minutes. So I've already did videos on that. So let's talk about LeBron last night and these turnovers. So this guy did a bad turnover early in the game. I think it was like the first quarter or something like that. And it might have been the second quarter or the end of the first half or the end of the first quarter. One of his teammates makes a bad pass to the opponent or it goes out of bounds, something like that. And LeBron starts yelling or giving his teammate criticism. And, he's all frustrated too. He don't go up to the guy and try to talk to the guy like a man. He's always mad, flailing his arms, doing all this stuff. This is the body language he gives to his teammates. His teammates can't mess up. Only he can, right? And then this excuse. So after he gave his teammate the beef, that's what I call it, because he just beefed with him. He didn't try to teach him nothing. And here comes the play-by-play guy, says something to the effect that LeBron James, this is what LeBron James brings. These are teaching moments to his teammates. This is what, his experience brings as a leader. Because he was going off on that teammate about the guy made one bad pass. Now, if the guy did it like 2 times, 3 times, yes. But you just made a bad turnover before that. Okay. What happens next? How many turnovers did LeBron have? 7, right? So LeBron, right after that, makes a crappy turnover. And nothing is said after that. Then he makes 5 more turnovers. And every time he does, nothing is said about that. So the play-by-play guys had to look like idiots, right? Because when he scolded his teammate about the turnover. LeBron had just made one before that and then proceeded to make 6 more after that. And this is where we are. 7 turnovers in a big game. Let me say this. Do the Lakers have 2 All-Stars, 2 top 75 players, and 2 All-NBA players? Check, check, check. Does Denver have an All-NBA player, just one, a future Hall of Fame player, and an All-Star player? Check, check, check. So in essence, the Lakers should be dominating this series. And actually, they should have dominated last year's series too, because it's just Joker by himself as the great warrior. Does he have a great team? I think he does. But this is all because of attention to detail. Executing. I think these are, man, it might be a couple teams in the NBA that doesn't just sit out there and fire up threes. The rest of the NBA does. I think they said the Lakers and the Nuggets shoot the least amount of threes in the league. And watching this game, I was digging it. Yes, they were shooting threes, but it was other stuff going on. Defense. I think they both played good defense. I didn't really get that from the rest of the playoffs, especially Kevin Durant teams. Yeah. Shouldn't they be dominating? Man, LeBron old, man. Which one is it, bro? Is he old? Is he the greatest thing at 21 seasons? He comes out, and this has been the case. Every time they play Denver or when they played him last year in the playoffs, he comes out smoking, getting his. It's kind of funny, right? Because when they was playing New Orleans, he was kind of deferring. And the play-by-play guy said, LeBron like to get his teammates involved. Remember, he was throwing all them dimes? He had all those assists in the first half, like 12 or something like that. And then he ended up getting his at the end of the game. Well, when halftime came, the second half. So LeBron's doing the same crap that he did last year against Denver. Remember last year against Denver, he was shooting all these threes. He was like spectacular from 3, right? And he was getting his, driving to the bucket. The Lakers were getting all these foul calls. But when the fourth quarters came, he disappeared. And they end up blaming this on AD, remember? That's who the blame was. You guys got to make up your mind right here, right? LeBron wants to be the man, and he wants to take the most shots. And he doesn't want to get his team involved all game. But when the fourth quarter comes, they're supposed to take it over. I mean, look, I thought AD did a good job, but AD and LeBron are getting dominated by one plumber. And I'm not trying to knock Joker. He doesn't survive in the 80s and 90s. He can't really play no defense. And I seen AD was just getting off like it was nothing. And some of those shots that AD was hitting right under the rim, Joker wasn't even contesting them. It's almost like he couldn't jump and do anything. Now, am I saying that he was going to block him? Probably not. But to kind of like deter him, to kind of like, you know, let him know you're right there, play a little bit of defense. I'm not trying to say he wasn't moving. Joker wasn't moving with AD. I'm not trying to say that. But when AD was shooting, it seemed like Joker couldn't get off that floor. Joker won't make it in the 80s and 90s. Shaq would Shaq would have Joker in the hospital, dude. He would have Joker in the hospital. You see how frail AD is? Every time he takes a shot, he's hitting the ground. Every time he gets bodied, he's hitting the ground. We wouldn't even put like a top 75 center against AD. That would be useless. I probably would put maybe like a Hall of Fame center, yes, but I probably would put, you know, Dikembe Mutombo on him, or I will put what's his name, Alonzo Mourning. These type of guys. I couldn't go up to a David Robinson or Patrick Ewing or a Shaq or a Kareem or a Hakeem or a Wilt. That would be a waste of time. AD's not on that type of level, bro. He's not on that type of level. I might have to go lower than that. Put Manute Bol on. Yeah. You think AD is this off? It used to be, oh, no, AD got more offensive skills than Patrick, Alonzo Mourning, right? Or Dikembe Mutombo. Are you sure? Or are you just saying that because of the defense? So if Mutombo and Mourning have to play under this same defense today, they're scoring more. So if AD has to play against the defense of the 80s and 90s, he's scoring less. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He would get crushed in the 80s and 90s. He's too feminine. Dude is like a glass house. This doesn't add up. AD and LeBron together, you might think it's a good matchup against weak competition. Like the Pelicans. All this weak competition in the East and the West. AD can get those moves off because of why? The defensive rules. Just a different era. He's good in his era. That's all I can say. He wouldn't even be playing in the 80s and 90s. I'm sorry. He just wouldn't. And maybe not even the early 2000s. This guy's soft. I'm trying to tell you, bro. If you put me back in the early 2000s and you put AD next to Dwight Howard would crush this dude. Dwight Howard won 3 defensive player of the years three times in a row. 2 block titles. 5 rebound titles. He's not. He better be glad he's playing in this era right here. A no-touch, 3-point shooting era. Not where guys bang in the post every night. Just be happy. So if LeBron ends up losing this series ain't over. It's one game. We did this last year, and the first game was similar like this. Every game last year was like this. It came down to the wire, and LeBron either bricked it up in the fourth quarter or didn't show up in the fourth quarter. AD did the same too in a lot of fourth quarters, or in the whole game. It was games where AD didn't even show up. But yeah, I mean, this ain't over. And I hope it ain't over because the NBA ain't going to want this kind of smoke. If they get swept, it's going to expose this whole era, how weak it is, just in the sense that how they've been hyping up LeBron James all year. It don't matter if he get his. You better get yours when the game is on the line. You better start winning some games when the game is on the line. And I thought they could really win that game. But at the same time, I'm like, this ain't Denver, though. Denver don't be missing these shots. And then I'm thinking too, I posted, I said, man, the Lakers, they using a lot of energy in the first half. And a lot of this energy should just be energy to play the game, not taunting and all this stuff, trying to show opponent up. The game's not over. Boy, if Jamal Murray could stay healthy, man, this is a hell of a 1-2 punch. He was missing some shots early, but at the same time, this guy hit a lot of shots coming down the stretch and in the fourth quarter. Um, I think it's time for the Lakers to stop playing based on athleticism. Let that go. You're gonna have to start doing some execution. I think they did some in the first half. Um, but overall, I don't know if they ran out of gas or they stopped executing. Because I seen some times when they was up and then the game was tied, then Denver went up by like 2 and then 6 and then 10. Especially in that fourth quarter, in the end of the third, they were just launching threes. They weren't trying to get in the game, and everybody would break, and it just exposes this league. Like when these threes aren't going down, the game looks horrible. They can't shoot the mid range. They can't pick and roll to the basket. So you guys tell me what you think. Like these 7 turnovers, that's an embarrassment. How does and then remember earlier they were saying how LeBron and Joker were the greatest floor managers of all time. Bro, you just did 7 turnovers? How come you wasn't managing the game at the end of the game in the fourth quarter? Where was that at? This guy was just passing the ball off. Oh boy, don't let this thing be a sweep. Nobody, don't let this thing be a sweep. I don't think anybody wants to see that, really. Well, I guess so. A lot of Jordan fans would like to see that, man. I don't want to see it, man. I want to see a series or something like that. But like I said, these guys is using too much energy coming out the gate,